Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the Music Dungeon with me, Mac Plays Banjo. Today is a super exciting day for the channel and for me personally because I just got an email that informed me that I was accepted into the YouTube Partner Program. What does that mean? That means I'm going to be making little itty bits of money from these videos, which is super, super exciting. I finally met the thresholds with subscribers and watch time, so I am now eligible to actually be making money on YouTube, which is awesome. Not that this really matters to you guys, but I just wanted to share it because I was excited about it. I'm going to talk more about it in my next practice log, which will be coming out in the next 2 days or so. So if you do want to hear about like how YouTube monetization works or what my plans are for the future, then you can go watch that video. But anyways, that doesn't matter. What does matter, Rick Beato and Billy Strings. Today is part 2 of us checking out Rick Beato's Billy Strings interview. We watched the first half of it a couple days ago. I had a couple comments ask me to watch the second half as well, so your wish is my command. So we're going to do that today. We're going to check out the second half of the interview. What am I going to do? I'm going to offer a little bit of perspective. I'm going to offer a little bit of analysis, expert analysis. Some might say, not me. I would never, ever imply that I'm an expert on anything, obviously, but some people might say that the analysis I provide has a little bit of expertise, just a tiny bit, like an infinitesimal grain of expertise perhaps, which might add just a little bit to your viewing experience of this interview. But we're going to get right into it. If you haven't seen the first half of this interview, go check my channel. Last couple of videos, it was on there. It's called like Is Billy Strings a Real Guitarist or something like that. Yeah, let's just start watching it.
Of the Moon and this Johnny Winter like greatest hits with Be Careful with the Fool and Dallas and all these great tunes on there. That was enough.
Yeah.
I sat there and digested that stuff for, the year. I was just a little kid in elementary school, but just freaking rocking out to Time and, Dark Side of the Moon, Another CD that I listened to a lot when I was younger was Yield, Pearl Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Such a great record.
That's a great record.
I love that record, man. In my dad's vinyl collection.
All this rock stuff, it's destroyed Billy. Now he can't make any good music. Should have just been listening to bluegrass records this whole time, Billy. Then you could have been someone important in the bluegrass world instead of a loser who makes YouTube videos. Whoops, am I getting confused about who is who in this situation?
I guess besides all the bluegrass and stuff, yeah, the White Album. My dad had a lot of Hendrix, Axis and Electric Ladyland, and he had like Crash Landing and a couple of these like other different ones. Also, the VHS tapes we had were pretty clutch, like.
Would you have like live concert VHS?
All jokes aside, this sort of musical synthesis is new and is one of the things that really makes Billy stand out. That's probably a big reason why he's so popular, is because he's doing songs that like normal people who aren't into bluegrass know, and then introducing them to bluegrass. A lot of really popular musicians do that, where they play covers of songs that the audience already knows, and that's a great way to connect with them. Billy does that a lot, and then he also combines his bluegrass sensibilities with his rock, all this other stuff that he's talking about, which makes it more accessible to people who are used to listening to rock and not bluegrass, and then they start to get a little bit into bluegrass from the rock bluegrass mixture that Billy does. He's got a really good thing going on. I appreciate it, even if I'm making jokes about him being ruined by the rock.
My dad would tape like Austin City Limits and shit.
Yeah.
So it'd be some like movie, some Sylvester Stallone flick or something, but really it's like Ralph Stanley on Austin City Limits.
He'd record over the Sylvester Stallone,
or
right?
whatever, yeah. And so we had those, there was Larry Sparks tapes, Ralph Stanley tapes, whatever, like stuff that was on TNN back then. And Doc Watson we had a couple tapes of, and we also had a Bill Monroe documentary, which was just so, like, I just remember being a little kid watching that stuff and hearing Bill Monroe talk, and there's this footage of Bill Monroe walking through like the, ruins of his old childhood home, and he's narrating it and stuff, and it was so like, even as a kid, I realized the power in that footage and the nostalgia, like the soul in bluegrass, the lonesome part of it.
I'm trying to think. There was really a bluegrass revival around the "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" soundtrack that came out probably around 2000 or something. Mm-hmm. But bluegrass...
This is something that Chris Thiele talked about in his interview with Rick Beato, which I should really do videos on the Chris Thiele interview because that's a really good interview. I watched it right when it came out, and I haven't watched it since, so I don't remember it super well. But one thing I do remember Chris saying is that there always seems to be some sort of bluegrass song that like normal people want to hear, and it's popular. Yeah, here we go.
There's always like a bluegrass song everybody wants to hear. And so then it was, everyone wants to hear dueling banjos. And then it was Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and everyone
That's
wants
true.
to hear I am a man of constant sorrow. And now it's Billy.
That's true.
I think it's about 20 years.
It is about 20 years.
By the way, before Deliverance, it was 60s when Beverly Hillbillies came out. And so then it was...
Early 60s. Yes.
So there's like a famous bluegrass song that everyone knows every 20 years or so, according to Chris. If you want me to watch that whole interview, by the way, I would love to. I'm probably going to, but if you guys are interested in that, let me know in the comments.
Always kind of has a revival that kind of comes into popular culture, then fades back, and then comes back in, and then kind of fades back.
Yeah, it lies dormant every once in a while.
It doesn't go away. It's got metal is the same way actually, because metal will become popular, then for a few years, then kind of recede, but it never goes away. There's always the underground scene and everything, and then
Yeah, so what makes bluegrass unlike like ska or something? That just
yeah.
completely disappears?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it takes longer for ska to come back.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's like a wider orbit.
Well, maybe it's because because of bluegrass festivals. Talk about bluegrass festivals for people that are like, what? I don't even know what that means. What is a bluegrass festival?
A bluegrass festival is a music festival, basically, that is...
Fun fact, I have never been to a bluegrass festival. This is probably going to shock some of you guys, and it's probably going to confirm some of your other guys' suspicions. But yeah, I've never been to one. The sole reason for that is that I don't live close to any, so I'd have to drive like a ways to get to any of them. I may go to some this year, though. Maybe I would love to go to Telluride. You know, Rocky Grass, Winfield, those would be really cool. If you guys have any recommendations of like best ones to go to, let me know, because I do want to go to some at some point. I'm going to at some point. Just haven't found the time yet.
It's in a field, and everybody brings their campers and tents and stuff, and we all go there and camp. And there's a stage, and there's bands that play on the stage, and they all play into the same microphones, usually with numbers on them. And there's a supper break and a raffle. Mm-hmm. And nobody actually goes to see the bands that are on stage. They're all just picking in the campground.
Right. But this is why ska doesn't come back, because more often, because there is no ska festivals that are happening like that.
Man, it's a great thing. I mean, like I said, that going to Charlotte Bluegrass Festival when I was a little kid changed my whole life.
Okay, so what kind of stuff do you work on? You play every day, right? All the time.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I can.
Do you work on stuff, though? I mean, is there anything that you actually practice? Do you have a warm-up that you like to do, or you just play?
Well, for a long time, I just played until just a couple years ago, really. And it got me to where I was. Like, I always learned by ear.
Yep.
I always just played. I'm always winging it. I'm always in some jam or something, and I didn't really learn the song, and I'm on stage.
This is the bluegrass way. Actually, one of the first people I ever jammed with when I was a kid is like one of the first people that I knew who was actually a real bluegrass player. He was a really good fiddler. He had won some competitions. And I was shocked because all my musical experience up to that point was just practicing like pretty intensely alone. And he told me he had never practiced alone once in his life because he grew up with siblings who also played bluegrass music, and so he always just picked up his fiddle and played along, and that was the only time he ever played. And I was like floored because I was so dedicated to practice. You know, you practice, and then you can go and play what you've practiced. And he was just like, yeah, I've never ever practiced by myself. I've just played with people. I was like, how? What? It's kind of crazy that you can learn a skill this precise that way if you just have enough time at it.
With some, you know, Ringo Starr or something, and I'm like, just winging it. I got to a point where I was kind of sick of that and sick of maybe hearing the same licks over and over and not really, I felt like I wasn't growing anymore. I got to a plateau. Mm-hmm. And I was playing all the time, and so gigging almost drives me down into a rut.
Right.
where I get back in the practice room and then there's like this great circle that happens. It's like I practice and I feel good about my playing, and I go tour and I'm playing stuff, and then I start to feel like shit, and I'm like, oh, I need to practice, and then I go back to practice, and then I go tour, and then I feel like I suck, and then I go back to practice. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like this, you know. Yeah, a couple years ago, I got real sick of myself, I guess, and was just like, ah, you know.
If I play that lick again.
I just, fuck. And also, it's not just licks, like I said. It's me being in a professional setting or something.
Yeah.
And somebody talking to me and me not understanding what they're saying. Because they're saying, yeah, this is just A flat, sharp 5 over C, you know? And I'm going, dude.
That's why learning theory is really important. It's not going to destroy your creativity. It's going to open up your creativity. Which architect can make a more creative, better house? The one who just has a bunch of boards and doesn't really know how to make a house, or someone who's got tons of different materials that aren't just boards and the knowledge of how to put them together in new, interesting ways? Obviously, the second one is going to make a more interesting house. That's the same thing with music theory. Music theory is a collection of tools that you can use to enhance your creativity. It doesn't quash it. And most importantly, what it is a method of communication between other musicians, like he's saying. It's really just a way to describe the different sounds in a way that everyone can understand. And you can get really good without it, but you're going to hit a plateau like Billy is talking about, and then you're not going to be able to communicate with other musicians unless they're way better at it than you are. So, besides, it's fun. It's really interesting stuff to learn.
What? You know? And then they play the chord, and I'm like, oh,
Okay.
yeah. And then making that Bela Fleck record a couple years ago, I'm in the room with Chris Thiele and Edgar Meyer and Bela Fleck, and these guys are
They're amazing.
they're talking in math equations, you know?
Yeah.
And me and Sam Bush are sitting there going, you know, what? Like, you know, whatever. And it just, I really felt like an infant sitting in the middle of the room pretending to know what everybody was talking about.
Those guys are really unusually studied musicians. I mean, they're real. All three of them are just incredible.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, my schedule gets in the way of my practice a lot, my actual gigs, which is a lot of people's like, well, you're out there doing it, man. Like, what do you know? And it's like, yeah, but I want to practice. I think even my teacher says that. It's like, man, so many people are in their room practicing right now and they wish they could be out playing gigs like you.
Right.
And I'm like, I wish I could be at home practicing. You know what I mean? Because I want to get better. And playing gigs, I feel like I said, performing is a different thing. I've been really trying to dive deep more lately into like the more Zen side of like trying to play and not play and think and not think and just watch my fingers do their thing and, you know, the effortless mastery kind of thing. It's a lot easier said than done. Man, the original thing you asked me before I started rambling on for 10 minutes was, have you been working on anything? And yeah, I mean, my teacher shows me shit all the time. Like, for instance, like right now I'm working on everything.
That's one thing I absolutely admire about Billy Strings is his humility with the craft. Like, he is one of the most well-known musicians in the world right now. And he was like, yeah, I'm not that good. I need to go get a teacher. Who does that? Very few people go and get teachers after they get famous. He did. I think the lead guitarist of Metallica did that, where when Metallica was taking off, he got a teacher. I could be wrong, but I know it's some metal band of that era. Just the humility to understand that even though you're super famous, you could get better and then you'll be a better musician is really, really impressive. So I've always admired that about Billy.
Thing from like, you know,
Yeah.
this stuff, the Bach and
The Bach,
stuff, you
yeah.
know, and then like some. You know, little jazz and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
like I learned.
So his teacher's been teaching him. That first piece was, it's a violin. I can't remember the exact name, but it's a solo violin piece of Bach's. I've worked up the first half of it on banjo in the past, but I wasn't quite good enough to get the whole thing at the time because it's not easy on banjo. I should really go back to that at some point because it is a beautiful piece and I need to learn it, but it was just too hard for me at the time. And then he's also learning Charlie Parker.
Donna Lee,
Yep. Charlie Parker. Yep.
you know, coming from a bluegrass background, it's a lot of
Seems like every bluegrass player, as soon as they start trying to get out of bluegrass, they start learning Bach and Charlie Parker. I don't know why that is. I mean, I did it too. when I was like 16, I was trying to get out of bluegrass and I started learning Charlie Parker and Bach, and I don't know why those two things are so ubiquitous. It's probably Bela Fleck's fault because he talks about them all the time.
four chords and, you know, the truth. And those jazz cats, like, circle around the chords in a way. Like, you know how I learned, like, Beaumont Rag, like I was telling you earlier, by listening to the melody.
Mm-hmm.
Bluegrass is very melody-driven, you know. You play. In fact, that's how I learned how to play bluegrass. Like, when I first started playing, like, lead guitar, it was more like, you know, I was learning like Hendrix and stuff. I got an electric. But when I went back later on and tried to learn bluegrass, I couldn't figure out what the hell it was. And once again, it was the melody.
Right.
You know, because you don't just play, you know, over Salt Creek or something. You know, you don't just play. You play. And that.
Yeah, bluegrass improvisation is a lot less like shredding on scales typically and a lot more ornamenting the melody differently. There's obviously a shredding over scales aspect to it, but most of the time when you're improvising over like a fiddle tune or something, you're kind of just playing the melody and then you stray away from the melody a little bit and then you come back to it and then you stray away. That's what a lot of people do.
That's the tune. But these jazz things that I'm learning, like, they circle around the chords and the root note, you know, circle around the root. And after I learned Donna Lee, I came up with this little tune, like, well, between Donna Lee and learning just this little. Use learn loosely.
All those seventh chord arpeggios.
There's that Rick Beato ear training course coming in.
Yeah, I just kind of learned that thing kind of up and down the neck. And then I came up with this tune called Escanaba. So that little part right there.
Yeah.
You know, it was because I had learned Donna Lee
I
recently.
heard the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, well, it's like, now we're changing.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I gotta play this run, but the chords are changing, so I gotta go. You know what I mean? And that was.
That's crazy how much that sounds like an exercise and yet still sounds good. Because if you listen to that song, you're like, oh yeah, this is arpeggios, but it still sounds good. It's still melodic. Impressive stuff.
It was because I learned Donna Lee that I was able to finish composing that little section. You know, just in the way that how the notes wrap around the root and stuff like that. You know, and the whole other part, the whole riff came from literally the practice that I was doing.
Yeah.
It comes out in the writing even quicker than in the improvising, I think. I think it takes a long time for something to show itself. One thing I was, you know, like all these big $10 chords, man, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I never played those chords, you know, ever. You know, I'm a bluegrass guy. But Tony Rice did,
You did.
and I fucking love it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to learn that shit, you know?
Yeah.
It sounds so cool when he's like, you know. It's just like he knows all these great voicings, and there was, for instance, a tune, Bye Bye Blues. know, the chords are like. And that's how I used to play it.
Yeah.
And probably still do. But one time I was jamming, just picking backstage, and I had been practicing these shell voicings, and I just was like. And I realized it's all right here,
Right.
if you want it to be.
Yeah.
And so that when I was just kind of, like I said, we were just jamming backstage or something. And I was like, whoa, it worked. And I'm like, you know, yeah, I don't know. I get sick of hearing myself, and you know, when everybody's being like, man, you're so good, it's like, fuck. Well, not really, you know?
I think every musician can relate to this. The better and better you get, the worse you think you are until you're the best. And then you can kind of recognize you're the best, but you compare yourself with a whole bunch of other people who are better than you at specific things. And you're like, no, I still suck because I'm worse than them at these specific things, even though I'm the best overall. Obviously, I know this because I'm the best musician of all time, clearly. I mean, everyone knows that. Nah, I'm just kidding, guys. But yeah, the better you get at things, the worse you think you are at them generally. There's like that's someone's law, but I don't remember what. Or an effect or something. I don't know. If you know what that's called, let me know in the comments.
Tell me about that guitar.
Yeah,
What year is that guitar?
1940, D28. Yeah, it's a great one. I've had it for, I don't know, a year or two, a couple years. It's just a hoss, man. Really comfortable neck and does that.
Okay, so
It's like a big block Chevy.
when he walked in and opened that guitar, I was like, that's the loudest guitar I've ever heard. I mean, that guitar is so loud. You can't tell unless you're sitting a couple feet away, but it's incredibly loud. I mean, it really projects.
Yeah, it's a good one,
It's
man.
in remarkably good shape, too, Billy.
I know, I kind of wish it was more like scratched up and shit.
You would never guess it's from 1940.
I got this 46 that just looks like it's been attacked by a bear.
Right.
And it just is, it's so cool looking. But this one, you know, yeah, it's a little bit more tame on the patina and on the scratches and stuff like that. But sound
I think
wise,
it's got a perfect amount of scratches because it's still in like really good condition, but you can tell it's been played. Beautiful guitar though. I would love to have an old, you know, the equivalent banjo of that, like a pre-war master tone. Just for the history of it, I would love to have an instrument that old. I love like super old things. It's awesome. If any of you guys has a like pre-war top tension or any pre-war banjo, I'm not picky, that you want to just send to me for free, let me actually, you know, I'd pay you $100 for it or something. But yeah, if you just want to send it to me, please just email me. 'Cause I would love to own one of those. Anyway,
man,
It's amazing.
it's really got an incredible bass response.
It's really even.
Yeah, I love it. It does have that little B string thing.
Yeah.
It's like it'll be in tune, but then you play and it's not, and I'll just sit here and fiddle with it all the time. Or
Okay.
if I'm recording, you know, that
no B string ever went to heaven. I think that's something Earl Scruggs said.
engineer or something, check that B string.
Now, you like playing back here, picking back closer to the bridge, behind the sound hole a little bit.
Well, it depends, you know. I mean, there's times where I get right over here over the sound hole if I want some, you know. When I want that little edge, I'm kind of back here, kind of in this region,
Yep.
you know.
Where there's more resistance there.
Yeah, I mean, just depends on if I really want to, you know, it just depends on what I'm doing. But yeah, there are definitely times where I'm
great demonstration of the different tonalities you can get just by where you pick.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Okay, so Billy, when you're playing live, you have a different guitar that you play that's plugged in,
Yeah.
and you were showing it to me. Can we check it out for a minute, or what?
Totally. Yeah, so this is the one I play into a mic in the studio. If we're on stage and we play into one large diaphragm condenser, which sometimes we do gather around the can, you know,
Yeah.
I'll grab this one.
Okay.
This one, as you mentioned, has volume. It's got huevos grandes.
Yes. Okay, so what is this guitar, Billy? This is your live guitar, right?
Yeah, this is a Preston Thompson DBA, which just means a Brazilian Adirondack dreadnought.
Yep.
And I got this one, I think, in 2018.
This one has seen better days, right?
Yeah, but it's also in its prime, you know. It's having a good time out there making music for all the peoples, and it's doing its dang job pretty good.
Okay, so what is this? I know that you have a microphone.
Rick just touched his guitar. If Billy wasn't so chill, he would have been like, "Get your hands off that thing costs so much money." Not like Rick couldn't buy him a new one. Come on now.
We already talked about this before, but you have a mic inside that's back around this area, right?
So yeah, I kind of call this guitar the Frankenstein guitar because of all this, you know, bolts sticking out of its neck and shit. This is a Shure microphone. Do you remember what it is, Toby?
Beta 98 HC.
Yeah, it's a Shure Beta 98 HC microphone. And that actually goes to this little guy right here,
Okay.
which goes to my wireless pack, which is like, you know, duct tape to my damn strap. The wireless pack actually gives this phantom. So this microphone goes to my ears, and I can hear a real guitar with a microphone.
Okay.
Because I'm always just, you know, I live in a world where 1 second I'm playing an old Martin backstage, and then the next second I'm plugged in with an acoustic guitar, and I'm just going, it's just not the same, you know? It's
Right.
just plugged in acoustic guitar is just tough. It's just tough.
What's it sound like with your in-ears when you hear that microphone?
So yeah, I mean, it's a blend. I have the microphone, and then I have under the bridge here is 3 little transducer elements. It's a K&K Pure Mini, and that's just my main, you know, just bluegrass pick and tone.
Okay.
Clean right to the DI. That's just acoustic guitar sound, a transducer.
Yep.
The reason I have this here is because I can switch over to this single coil pickup, which then I turn a volume pedal on, and it sends my signal through a Kemper
Okay.
with the Soldano Super Lead thing on there.
SLO, yeah.
So I can switch over to this single coil and I can
With your 13s.
Yeah, you know.
It looks so weird to have the switch on the soundboard of an acoustic guitar. I would have put the switch, like, not on the soundboard, because that's got to affect your tone, right? I don't know, dude. It just looks really goofy to have a switch there.
And I can, you know, do all that with like distortion and stuff. And,
Yeah.
And it sounds all, you know, like an electric guitar basically. So yeah, I can kind of, because we get into these improv, you know, big improv moments where it's just anything can happen at any time. It's like we're playing basketball. We're just paying attention and what the hell's going on. And sometimes it's just nice to turn on the electric guitar.
Now, I
side
don't know
of
if this is an optical illusion, but it seems like this neck is wider than your Martin neck a little bit, or not? Is it the exact same?
I think it's similar. This one is 1 11/16. It used to be bigger, actually. This is the second neck on this guitar.
Okay.
Yeah. Used to be.
What happened to the first one?
My hand got tired.
Okay.
And I just, you know, because 1 3/4 is like the bluegrass thing, you know. The pre-wars, they're 1 3/4. They're wider. And that's what all the bluegrass guys have to have. So that's what, of course, I ordered mine with. You know,
Yeah.
Till I got to playing all these gigs on it. And I go, screw what the bluegrass people are doing, you know? I want to get a smaller neck, you know? And it's funny, because like you play Tony Rice's guitar, that neck is pencil thin. It's like a popsicle stick. And skinny both ways, man. This neck is really comfortable. It feels wider than 1 11/16. I feel like there is some kind of illusion going on here. Because usually 1 11/16 feels a little bit more narrow to me.
Yeah.
But on this guitar, it's good. Preston Thompson, actually, you know, he's since passed on. And he's an awesome builder out of Sisters, Oregon. And they make amazing guitars. And they've been, you know,
And how long have you had this? Since 2018 or something like that?
Yeah, and I've played pretty much every gig on it since then. It's been crushed by the airlines a couple times.
Man.
Yeah, I mean,
that must have been a serious.
that whole big section right there was all, right through a
Even with a
hard
flight
case,
case, right?
too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You got pinched in an elevator or something. But yeah, this guitar is the best plugged-in guitar that I've found, you know.
And what is a DI that you use? What kind of DI do you use?
Well, my DI is actually like a Neve Shelford channel, you know. I got that, you know, going through there. I don't know if the microphone's on there yet, but definitely the pickups just go to this Neve thing. For a long time, I used a Grace Bix, actually, is the one that I use, the little one.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people use the Felix, and I actually just got one of those, too, for when I'm going to sit in or something. That way I can still have my mic and blend it, and because that's what all the bluegrass guys use, man, is the Felix, you know? Because you can do what I'm doing here. You can hand somebody one XLR and blend in some microphone with your banjo or whatever. So it's not just pickup tone out there.
Right.
You know? So you can have a little clip-on mic, blend that in some, and hand someone one XLR. That's a really slick thing.
That's kind of an advance from back in the old days when you'd had to actually be planted in front of a mic live and stuff.
Yeah, and I wish I could play into a mic, you know? I mean, there are times when I play for like a listening audience, you know? It's really nice when that happens, when I just get to play the old Martin into a mic, no monitors.
Yeah.
You know, just it's the best. You can feel it coming through the house. I feel like I can play better because it's like the sound isn't right on my eardrum, and I'm not like, there's a weird thing that happens with in-ear monitors and playing and how hard you play, and it makes you...
Is there any delay at all with it or no? Is it pretty instant?
It's pretty instant. I mean, instant enough. No different than probably recording, you know, with headphones on.
And use ambient mics to hear the audience, correct?
Yeah, so having the direct, the pickup right on your ears is kind of like, it can be a little much. But that's why I blend the microphone in there. And then the same thing goes for the room, you know. Just having the band on the pickups and the microphones just on these in-ears and your ears are sealed off almost takes you out of the space. So yeah, we put a couple microphones on the front of the stage and kind of turn them up so you can hear the crowd or the room. And
that's really interesting. I never thought of, you know, miking the audience so you could hear them. It's a good idea.
You know, it's really a mental game sometimes too. It's just I don't know, it's a love-hate thing. Because it's still better than wedges.
Yeah.
For me, anyways.
Oh, yeah.
And for what we're doing. It's a battle of, does it take me away from being in the room, or, you know, I was just talking to Bela about this the other day, because he kind of likes that you can sort of focus in on the band and the music, and sort of like, who cares what's going on out there, you know, and like...
That sounds like Bela. That sounds like Bela.
Then you play really good, and all of a sudden the crowd goes wild, and you're like, oh, shit, they're there, you know?
I interviewed Bela probably a year and a half ago up at his place in Nashville.
Nice.
But I'd seen him play opening for Shakti, it's now 2 years ago or so. And he came out and he sat on the like a rise.
I do have videos of Rick Beato's Bela Fleck interview. If you want to go watch those, there's a playlist. It's called, I think, Rick Beato's Bela Fleck interview. You can go watch those. Very interesting interview. I highly recommend watching those videos.
Or something, just sat down, and he told me after he was really nervous that to do this because he's just playing solo, and he was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I think he had told me that he was listening through he could just hear the banjo out in the theater, basically through the mains. He didn't have a monitor there.
Yeah, sometimes I actually have a volume pedal on stage that is basically the volume knob for my pack, for my headphones. Sometimes I turn it all the way off, and I am just hearing through the speakers, behind the speakers here in the house. And I can actually play a little, not necessarily better, because I can't hear the notes. And sometimes if I hit a wrong note, I don't...
You don't quite realize it then?
Yeah, but as far as how swift I can move around, like if I'm doing the intro for like a Freeborn Man or something, just this big... You know, and then you just kind of start singing or whatever. A lot of times when I do that, I'll just take my volume completely away, and I do it like that because I feel like I can... I don't know, I just can play lighter, more nimble and more...
Because you actually want to hear it less, right? You want to kind of, so you'll dig in a different way or something.
Or something like that. If it's too present, in my mix, it's just... Then I almost pull back a little bit or something.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about singing. Now, singing with the in-ears and everything and doing that versus singing if you're in a room with people jamming and you're just singing acoustically, or if you're in a recording studio, are you like headphones on, or do you sing with the monitors on, or what do you do when you're singing? Are you singing live typically and playing at the same time?
In the studio?
Yeah.
Sometimes a little bit of both. It depends on what song it is and how well we know it.
Yeah.
If we know it and we can do it, then it's just live. You know, we'll just sit there and play it, sing it, get a good take. There's definitely been times where we've played the track and I sing the first couple words of the verse and then back out and just get a good, really rhythm basic, and then later on focus on the vocal. There's been times that we've done kind of both. I'd say it's kind of half and half. But that's pretty much how we do it in the studio. And yeah, headphones. Sometimes I crack one headphone a little bit, but it's weird. It's a weird thing, you know. Like I've had times. One time I was in the studio and I had these headphones on and I was singing perfectly flat. Because I was singing harmonies with somebody and I was perfectly flat.
Like consistently flat.
Yeah, you know.
Right in tune to your brain, but flat.
But flat.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell is going on with like the mix or the, like, why am I singing flat? Like, you know, I don't know. It's a weird thing. So I hope that doesn't happen on stage. We're playing these arenas and stuff, you know, with bluegrass instruments.
It's insane.
Sometimes it's like, what the hell are we even doing? Or why are we doing this? Or like, this is all wrong, you know?
Could I get you to sing something?
Yeah, I think so. All right, here we go.
Imagine if Billy was just like, nope.
Well, when John Henry was a little baby boy, no bigger than the palm of your hand, John Henry's mammy looked down at him and said, Johnny gonna be a steel driving man, Lord, Lord, Johnny gonna be a steel driving man. Well, the man who invented that old steam drill, he thought it was mighty fine. But John Henry drove it down 15 feet, while the steam drill only made it 9, Lord, Lord. Steam drill only made it 9. Well, John Henry hammered in that old mountainside till his hammer caught on fire. The last poor words that old John Henry said, give me a cool drink of water before I die, Lord, Lord, cool drink of water before I die. Now John Henry's captain, he set out on a rock, said, boys, this tunnel's caving in. John Henry smiled at his captain and said, "Boss, that's my hammer-sucking wind. Boss, that's my hammer-sucking wind." Well, John Henry had a little woman. Her name was Polly Ann. And when Johnny got sick, Lord, he had to go to bed. Polly drove that steel like a man. Lord, Lord. Polly drove that steel like a man. Well, they took John Henry to the graveyard, put him 6 feet under the sand. Now every time that old train goes rolling by, yonder lies that steel driving man, Lord, Lord. Yonder lies that steel driving man.
Woo! Amazing. You're doing like that half step between the B and E string, super fast cross picking things. That is so, I love that stuff. I love those things. That's amazing.
Yeah, you know, there's this
How do you stay relaxed when you look so relaxed when you're doing it?
there's your answer.
Pavel, you see that or no?
The way I stay relaxed, I don't
There's
know.
no way that wasn't staged. Come on. There's no way that was actually spur of the moment like that.
I
Come
mean,
on.
I work on that.
That's hilarious.
That's a thing too, you know, like just trying not to build tension. You're playing these fast tunes on heavy strings, a big guitar, and, you know, trying to play over a loud banjo. And
Yeah.
you got to remember not to just try and play harder.
You got to dig in, but stay relaxed.
Well, there's a certain level of,
But you have a lot of bounce in it that really keeps the groove going.
yeah, it's just studying Doc Watson, man. Like, I learned the way Doc Watson plays Bill Cheatham, which is like... usually not in B flat, but anyways, the whole
Yeah.
thing. It's the same down, up, you know.
Okay, does it screw you up when you put the capo on at certain frets at all?
Yeah, just like there, like on the 3rd fret.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything's down a marker, you know.
I'm watching. You're not really looking when you're playing, even when you're not even looking down. You
No.
don't look at your hand. You don't look at your left hand at all.
Not very much.
Yeah.
Unless I need to, unless I'm like, where's that? Or if I f up, I'll open my eyes and be like, oh, shit, and start, you know. But no, a lot of times I'm just, you know, I know I'm in G here. I just kind of know where I'm at because of relative location and, you know, feeling on the fretboard, you know. I mean, Doc Watson was blind, so that's my guy. So
There you go.
a lot of times I spent practicing growing up playing with my eyes closed just because, I don't know, I'm just trying to hear the music more, you know, or something. Listen closer. Maybe if I take this sense away, this one will expand.
When you're doing a jam, bluegrass
That's a really good exercise, playing with your eyes closed. That will humble you if you're not used to it, but it's really, really good for you.
jam, how do you know who's going to go next with their solo? How do you decide?
Well, if it's not predetermined.
Yeah, if you're just jamming with people that you don't know,
Kind of whoever calls the tune,
we'll take the first solo.
well, whoever calls the tune is kind of in charge of fiddle.
Okay.
You know, it's like, If I'm like, hey, let's play How Mountain Gals Can Love or whatever, and I'm singing lead,
Yep.
then I'll look at whoever. You know what I mean?
And then will they typically go in order then?
There's not necessarily that I've found a, you know, a proper etiquette, like, you know, be polite, pass to the right. You know? No, it's kind of just, because some songs, you know, you start a song and man, that, if there's a fiddle player, a lot of bluegrass songs too, like fiddle first is great.
Yeah.
Just gets you off to a good start, especially with a good fiddler.
You want to play one more tune?
Sure. Let me think of something. Do Nashville Blues since that's where we're heading tonight.
I've got the blues, those Nashville blues. I've got the blues, the Nashville blues. I ain't got no hat, ain't got no shoes. These people here, they treat me fine. These people here, they treat me fine. Well, they feed me beer and they feed me wine. I've got the blues, those Nashville blues. I've got the blues, the Nashville blues. I ain't got no hat, ain't got no shoes. I'm going back to Arkansas. I'm going back to Arkansas. I'm gonna stay right there with my ma and pa. 'Cause I've got the blues, those Nashville blues. I've got the blues, the Nashville blues. I ain't got no hat, ain't got no shoes. I've got the blues, those Nashville blues. I've got the blues, the Nashville blues. I ain't got no hat, ain't got no shoes.
Amazing. Sounding
Thanks,
great, man.
Thank you.
Billy, pleasure to have you here. Pleasure to hear you.
That was great. His creativity in those solos was really awesome. What I'm most impressed with Billy is his musicality. Like he's not playing any crazy virtuosic stuff technique-wise, which is fine, but everything he plays is so musical and appropriate for the piece, which is so much more important than like crazy fretwork magic. Not saying he doesn't play anything hard, he does, but like it's very clear that the music is what's most important to him, and he's not going to try and overshadow telling a story with the music with doing some sort of technical fireworks thing to impress people, which is super admirable. Another admirable thing, like I said, is his humility and always trying to learn and get better. That tells me that he's just going to keep getting better and better for the rest of his life, which is awesome. And how it should be. There's always someone you can learn from, always more stuff that you can learn no matter how good you are. But yeah, great interview. Thank you for watching. If you watched all the way to the end, you're the best. Go check out other videos on my channel if you liked this one. I have the Bela Fleck interview with Rick Beato and a whole bunch of other ones. But thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.